welcome to game 2 of the Bugeater GT. Now, this off right off the bat, I'm gonna have to tell you this is what I consider in the business a battle reporting failure. I had two 32 gigabyte cards for my camera, and somehow, some way, because I was at Adepticon, I had recorded 2.5 matches, no problem. I had the camera set on like a higher setting, like it has a setting I don't even know what it means. It's like XD and like SXD and then SD and then EP, and it was on the second one, and it must have recorded the first one and cut out somewhere in this one like 40 minutes into the match. Probably just going to get the deployment and maybe the first couple turns, which that's really sucked because this was a really fun game against Rich Jeffords, his American list. The scenario was what is the scenario? The scenario was there's 3 objectives on the defender side. It was preset. Whoever rolled had to be the attacker or the defender or whatever the scenario said. But so basically it was preset by the tournament organizer, and it was set on one side of the board. The defender could choose any side he wanted. That's what Josh kind of jokingly said, but I don't know why you would defend and then leave the tokens on the far side. But so it was kind of preset what side the defender was on as well. And I was the attacker. This is the defender side of the board, looking out at the defender side. And then I've got a picture of the other side, but it's a little bit blurry. Oh, yeah, I finished the first game with a minor loss, so I'm down 15 points. But I got 5 of a possible 20, so I need to really start doing a comeback here. I like that I'm the attacker in this scenario. It gives me a little bit more flexibility. I get to see where Rich put some of his stuff, and I can respond to that how I want. What I end up doing is I put my both cavalry units in outflank. Here's my side of the board. You can see he's got a little bit of setup there. He's got a regular squad up in the rock on the top of that hill. He's got another regular squad back behind it. In the middle, in that little burnt out building, or on the little ruined building on the far side, you can't quite see it. He's got a big squad of regular infantry. He's got a light mortar team behind that. He's got a regular infantry squad in the far left woods, and then I think a lieutenant back there. I do get a preparatory bombardment. So my plan here is to bring a cavalry in from each side. I have to flip the tokens to my side, and then I'll control them. And then after that, I'll just keep him away from it, or just keep him from flipping it by feeding things into them. Even if those die, just be within 3 inches of it at the end of a turn, and it will never flip back. I need to get 2 for a major. I can have 1 and have units within 3 of the other 2, even if they're contested, to get a minor. So we'll go through what we got for video, and I'll talk a little bit at the end. Sped up to 4 times speed. Rich has already made his deployments there. He's got them across the board. I've got an inexperienced squad coming in on each side on outflank, and a cavalry squad coming in on outflank. And then I've got my lieutenant coming in. My plan was, whatever happens, I'm going to run them in, get control of the token at the end of the turn if he doesn't have a unit within. So now I have to do my prep bombardment, and I may have already done that. And I put basically 1 or 2 pins on almost every unit of Rich's. So he's trying to move his things into nice defensive positions, and Rich fails every single activation check. That anything that took a pin, he fails. Needing like 9s or 8s, I should say. His lieutenant, even a +1 lieutenant with 1 pin, fails. So starting right off the bat, Rich, not that it hurt him per se in that turn or the next turn, other than maybe on the left flank where I've got some howitzers coming in, so then if I pull the first dice, I'll be able to let him have it. But that could have happened either way if he moved or not. But it will affect turns 2 and 3 if he's not in defensive positions where he wants to be. So I'm just coming on with my big guns. I got 1 on the far right. I bring my medium mortar. I'm trying to figure out where I want that. I got that bridge right there, which blocks a lot of line of sight to the token, but I do bring it on the left. So I've got two guns here, a howitzer and a mortar, and I bring 2 guns in on the left of the side of these things. I figure stuff gets wedged into these major houses. So he did pass with one of his units there, I guess. So he did get one to move, but other than that, everything else fails. It's pretty bad. I didn't do much damage on the prep bombardment. So that's my light mortar, runs up there, just peeking around the corner, so I can move and fire maybe a light mortar next round. And then I've got a inexperienced infantry squad that I just bring in. I'm on first wave here, so I don't even have to roll. And they come in. They're going to be basically just try to work their way up. He's got that squad up there behind the rock. I believe they did not take a pin, and he put them on ambush. Or maybe that was next turn, but he's got this squad here. He does. They didn't have a pin on them, so they just run over to the right to get out of line of fire of the howitzer, and then I bring an inexperienced squad in, run order down the left side. So that squad getting away from the howitzer, I'm thinking that's fine, as long as I don't allow them to get set up in an ambush area where my cavalry come in and ambush me. So that's what my inexperienced squad on the far left, his job is to just go up there and make sure he has to do fire orders against me. And then I've got my anti-tank rifle. He's got a Chafee and a Greyhound, I believe it is. It's the armored car. It's got like a light anti-tank gun and 2 machine guns on it. I go ahead and run over my Lorraine carrier, and I'm thinking I'm going to run over this barrier. That way I would destroy it. That way if my armored car would have a little more free reign. But I elect to then, he can't bring his tank or his armored car in until turn 2. So he's got, what's behind that house is a bazooka team. That's one of the things he's got. I know he's got a bazooka team. So I move my Lorraine carrier up in the middle, and what my intention is to run my Senegalese, at least one unit, out and get him into that house. Here his light mortar can move and fire, and it takes a shot at my Lorraine carrier. I'm glad that he actually hit me. So I put a pin on me. It makes me a little nervous about the Senegalese getting out. Those seems like the checks that you always seem to fail, you know, needing 8 with 1 pin. But he does hit me, but fortunately didn't destroy me. He's only got +1 penetration, and I'm not open top. I'm fully armored. So it looks like we're about ready to wrap up turn 1, because everything else is down off the board. I don't know why we're even pulling dice, other than I've got my lieutenant, my +2 inexperienced lieutenant, and we picked the dice, and we're going to start turn 2. So at least we got through 1 turn before the video cut off. I know it does cut off. Just for future battle reports, they all look like they downloaded properly, and it looks like I did switch my memory card to SD, and it recorded fine for the remainder of the tournament. So, or actually, the next one is still in the same setting, but I put a new memory card in. So it looks like the whole thing's there. And then for day 2, I set my camera to SD, and it recorded just fine, both matches with 1 video card. So here's his bazooka team. They had taken 2 pins from the prep bombardment, 1 when they passed, and they passed there. They come around the corner, they shoot my Lorraine carrier, and he nails me, and then rolls a damage result of a crew stun. So yay! I took a bazooka blast to the face, and I'm still alive. But now my guys have like 3 pins on them. So I need to get my Senegalese out and active. And I can't charge or anything out of the thing. But yeah, so now I'm going to be putting some shots down on these guys. Or here's Rich failing more order checks. He's just failing. He's like, yay. He's pulling dice, but he's failing with everything. All these guys failed. All those last 3 failed. Or maybe that one went into ambush, but eesh. Yeah, not much you can do when you're. I mean, if he was me and firing howitzers, he would be gold. There, I got a miss with that howitzer. I got a miss with that howitzer, so I need a 5 next turn. And I'm just setting up a next turn, you know, on those units. You just might need a 6, not a big deal, but when you need a 5, that's when you really start to increase your chances of hitting quite a bit. Here's a light mortar. They pop around, I plunk a shot at the bazooka team, and need a 5 next turn. So I'm looking at a bunch of 33% chances of hitting at the top of the next turn if I pull dice first. Here, Rich's light mortar decides to return fire, and I think he's short by about 1 inch. So now I am having to test stuff, but I bring this Senegalese unit out. They pass, fortunately, but they come out and they're going to fire at the bazooka team. I'm kind of just throwing them out there to die. If I don't get the next, I don't like doing that when I throw them out there and then I have to use my next activation to try to save them. But they do kill the bazooka team. They only killed one, but Rich failed his check, of course, because his dice are rolling like all 5s and 6s. But that's not good when you're taking leadership checks. So then I get the next dice. I'm just going to advance these guys up. They're not being seen by that squad on the other side because of that nice hill feature. But I'm just prepping them up there, like I said, to support my cavalry coming in. I just go down with my lieutenant. I'm just doing a little bit of stalling because he's got a chafy, armored car that are still off the board. And I don't want to use all my big gun assets and all my things. I have an armored car that can come in as well. And I want to see where he comes in and see if I counter. I forgot about this little machine gun jeep. Comes in with a medium machine gun. So continuing on, he shoots at my Senegalese with his machine gun jeep, and he was able to kill 1 of the 6. So he did a lot of hits, but rolled poorly. So here comes the armored car. I like this piece of equipment. It's got a light anti-tank gun on it. It's recce. It's open top. It's got 2 machine guns. So he's going to fire both medium machine guns at my light mortar. I'm kind of glad he didn't kill my Senegalese, actually. And he's able to hit a guy. And it's a 50-50 check with my lieutenant right around the corner, and I fail. So even with my lieutenant right there, I fail. So that's 2 games in a row where my inexperienced +2 lieutenant was right next to something that needed a morale check and failed. So here I fire my medium mortar at that Greyhound and miss, but I'll need a 5 next turn. So now I'm trying to figure out, at this point it's like, now what's my plan here? So I go ahead and run this anti-tank rifle into this beautiful building. I love this building. So they're in the bottom floor of that building. And it's like a corner shop with these windows and stuff. I really like it. I think I'm gonna have to get me one. And then Rich just says, well, I'll do this, and rolls. And they actually got snake eyes this time, so he's like passes something. He brings his jeep in, gung-ho jeep. He's got a second jeep with medium machine guns on it. And they're gonna come in here on my left flank to support. And he does have a shot down that corridor against those Senegalese. And he rolls all like 1s and 2s. This squad is going to advance up there, and he wants to make sure he has hard cover because there's this rock formation along the edge there. So he's just kind of eyeballing. He asked me for a ruling, which I like that in a game because then we're both on the same page. And it's like, here's what I see, and if you just move, if you just move that couple guys like there, I said, or are you worried about from the infantry if they come up the hill? And I said, well, right now he's got hard cover. It depends on where I maneuver, but he's in a pretty good spot there. With the slope of the hill and that rock, he's got a nice, you can imagine those riflemen and stuff laying along the edge of that thing waiting for some infantry to come up there. But he did in advance. So here goes my armored car. I drive it down the road. This road doesn't go through, but it's assumed to go all the way. But so he just does an advance up to there and does a light anti-tank gun shot at his armored car. And misses. So, and that's just about the end of turn 2. I do move these guys up there. Kind of moving them in there to the woods. I ask him as if you want to, or actually he's like, I guess I'll fire my ambush. And he starts to measure the fire, and I said, just FYI, Rich, I do have, I've been a sportsman. I like Rich. Rich is up in the Sioux City group. They're good guys up there. I said, just remember, I do have reserves in or coming in from out. I do have outflankers. And he's like, yeah. Thanks for the reminder. And so those guys do stay in ambush, which I assume they would. That's why he put them up there in ambush, was to watch for outflankers. And there's a token right there in front of them. So. That move wasn't the move to try to trigger the ambush. No, there's really no threat from my squad, so he stayed in ambush. So we start turn 3. And now turn 3, we're going to get going, and I've got all these 5-ups that I'm looking for from my guys. And first thing I do is I activate my armored car. Or no. Yeah, what did I do? I got an order dress in my armored car. I must have did something. Anyway, singlies try to activate, and they fail and go down. And that's going to be bad news for the singlies. So Rich has a looks like he's got his squad there. They actually finally pass, and he advances them to get more guys in firing. I'm like, why are you gonna advance them? You're just gonna, and he's like, I'm American, man. I don't take a -1. I'm like, oh yeah, might as well. I was like, might as well get as much firepower to bear when there's no penalty for you to do so. So this is gonna be bad. He still has 1 pin on him, and I'm down, but he's point blank. I've got five guys left there, and he's gonna give him the what for, and got a couple 6s, killed 4, got a couple 6s. I've only got 2 guys left, and I failed my check. They had like 3 pins on me. So that's 1 unit of 6 singlies down, and that was probably not the best play for me to try to get that bazooka. It would have been better for me to come out, stay in hard cover, and assault him if he was still standing there. But anyway, it's just, I've got lots of squads, so, and it doesn't hurt you in this match to have dead squads. So here I'm hitting on a 6. Rolled my blue dice. I was thinking about, I think I do switch back to the black at some point in this tournament, but these are my new blue dice I bought for the tournament. So I do get a hit with the blue dice, and I am able to, I don't do much though. It's to that big squad that he has in that building there. I only roll like on 2d6. Oh, there's a black dice, and I got a 6. And so that, anyway, getting back to that one, I only did like 4 hits and killed a guy, put like a pin or 2 on, or 1 pin. It was really kind of lame. And here's a medium mortar. I hit that open top guy. He decided not to recce because he wanted his activation, and I hit, and I rolled good on the thing. I rolled good on the chart and knocked out his armored car with a mortar, which is interesting because Ryan Carlson later plays Rich, and he medium mortars that thing too, and he got a 6 and killed it. So Rich, there's a picture, I called it the mortar catcher. So now here, with this house structure, you can't see much what's going on there. He's got a small, like a 6-man squad of regulars up along a wooden fence, which we had ruled in the beginning. Those wooden fences behind that 3-row house is soft cover, we had said, before we ever even started playing. And so he's got like a 6-man squad along there. Here I do come out on an advance order, and I fire my, inexperienced rifles at long range, hard cover, looking for 7s. So there's that, and we're about to run out of video here, which is unfortunate. And then I do have some pictures, so then I'll have to go through the remainder of the battle. I'm really trying to get to these tokens, and it's going to be my outflanks mainly that are going to be what I need to do. I do like that he doesn't he doesn't have anything within 3 inches of the tokens, so my plan to run in 18 inches and just get on one at the end of the turn is still looking good. Here's another howitzer shot. It looks like I hit again, and I blast these dudes on the top of this thing here. So now I'm on fire. So yeah, here's just the board. We ran out of video. That sucks. This is deployment. These are his 2 squads on his left flank, my right flank. One big squad, but both about the same size. The one moves around the rock, and the other one stays up there in ambush. I hit it with a howitzer, and I'm able to blow it apart. It stays in the battle, though, with about 3 guys left in it. He passes his order check, so I eventually have to deal with them. I end up bringing an inexperienced squad in from reserve and just kind of walking their way up the hill, blasting at him, and eventually they succumb. Here in the center, this is big squad. That big squad did take a heavy or a medium howitzer hit, but I only killed like 2 guys. They're the ones that shot up the singlies. This is light mortar that ends up moving into the street and having a little plunk battle with some of my stuff, and supported by his medium machine gun jeep. So I did run a my other squad of Singhalese into the house. Now, if you look at this picture here, you can see my Lorraine carrier. What I ended up doing was I failed an order check and I had to back up. The Singhalese pass and they run up and they got into that row house. It's not quite within 3 inches of the token, but they wait till turn 5 and they kind of bum rush it. My armored car is up there supporting my right flank. His Chafee fails to come in. Veteran Chafee, needing a 10, fails to come in till turn 5. And when he does come in, things are pretty desperate at that point. And he comes over in on my left flank and tries to salvage a token, which he does for a turn. But I end up switching my resources into capturing the middle one. But yeah, there's his bazooka team that ends up coming up to put a shot on the Lorraine carrier. His lieutenant's back in the woods there. Just kind of gets stranded there for a turn or two. And there's that squad that ends up coming up behind the wooden structure. So here's a picture from his side. There, my Singhalese came out. They end up dying to that squad in the middle. And he's got a second squad behind this house here too. So he had quite a few infantry units. Oh yeah, that other one ran over there behind the building. These are ones behind the hill. This one here is the one that takes up position. So my other unit of Singhalese goes into this house on the bottom floor, and they kind of get forgotten about. They do pop some shots out at these guys point blank behind that soft cover, and they do a pin, and then they run out the other door on the next turn and get on the token. There's a unit of my cavalry up on the top of that hill. His squad had gone on to the top of that hill and put some fire down on my guys. On my reserve, I came in and fired my little cavalry carbines at him, and I pulled the first order dice, and I gutted him. I had all 6 guys within point blank, so he couldn't shoot at me. And that's the first time I've had a full cavalry charge, and I really ripped him a new one. I've got my other cavalry squad kind of hiding. You can see him behind the woods there. I know he still has a Chafee that could come in, but I recce'd back that way. Fortunately, his Chafee didn't come in. He failed, rolled an 11. So now I'm positioned here. I'd captured that token. You see my flag on it. He does come in with the Chafee. He ends up recapturing that token, but I pretty much just run around him as much as I can, and I capture the center token. So him failing all his order checks, failing on his Chafee for so long to come in, really put him in at a bad spot. On the right flank, you can see that's where my inexperienced squad are just working their way up the hill. He's got a couple guys left up there. He's got this 5-man squad, which is a remainder of a 5-man squad, and I just keep plugging away at it. I actually had both cavalry squads on the left, and I had my lieutenant squad, which failed for the first time I tried to bring him in, and I do end up bringing him in. He runs 18 inches and gets on this token at the end of this turn, and he captures it. And then then he can't really get me off of it where I'm not within 3 inches, because I've got 2 inexperienced squads and I've got an armored car that can just contest it. And that pretty much ends the game. And it turns, since I captured 2, I end up with a major win. Rich battled really well. He did a lot of neat things, a lot of good things. Really, his dice kind of just hamstrung him. So that's the end of game 2. Thanks for watching. I'll start working on game 3. Hey guys, if you like my battle reports, please subscribe, give me a like, thumbs up, love your comments, any questions that you have, put them down on the page. Look forward to hearing from you. Your support means a lot to me. Appreciate it. Come back for the next one, and we're gonna get after it.